Good morning, Oro Valley. It's Friday morning, and I'm going to be talking to Mr. Mark Johnson. Mark Johnson's an environmental engineer. We've had him on the show many times, and today we're going to be talking about the drought situation in Arizona. He belongs to a group called Local Drought Impact Group. And as always, it's got an acronym that it uses, which is LDIG. Anyway, we're going to go over their most recent meeting. They meet about every 2 months. They talk about water, what's going on with water, what's going on with the CAP situation and the drought situation, just keeping us up to date. And I thought this would be a good follow-up to the CAP presentation that was given to the Oro Valley Town Council on Wednesday. This podcast continues to hammer on the fact that we do have drought conditions here in the Southwest, and consequently we have to keep our eye not only on our water usage, but what's going on with the CAP water, because that's going to be a big political deal. We were told in, 2026, they're going to review the whole compact for Nevada, Utah, California, Arizona, and Mexico. And you know that's going to be a big political deal. Everybody's going to be trying to get their share of water. So we want to keep water at the forefront occasionally in this podcast. And with that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Mark. Okay, as I said in the interview, I have Mr. Mr. Mark Johnson over here. And Mark's an environmental engineer, and he has been for a long time. He's on the Marana Water Department Council. Is that what it is? What do they call that over there in Marana, Mark?
It's called the Marana Utilities Board.
Oh, okay.
So it's the water and wastewater operations.
Okay, super. Yeah. And he also, and this is why I said we were having the podcast today, he's also goes to the LDIG meetings, which are the impact meetings that have to do with the drought. And Tucson participates, all these surrounding areas. You know what I didn't see, Mark, on the LDIG meeting or the people? Does Oro Valley ever participate in that? I mean, on a regular basis?
Yes,
Peter Abrahams?
The folks that operate the water utility in Oro Valley are typically on the call.
Okay, that's good to hear. I didn't see their name in that LGI or LDIG thing. So let's talk a little bit, and I've got a screenshot here. What's going on with water? Let me downsize this thing a little bit, get it down there. Okay, super. This is the information that you guys had provided, gleaned from the meeting. This was on the Torta Alliance. I can't even speak today, the Torta Alliance site. And let's go through these, Mark, and maybe a little bit of an explanation is needed, especially on the podcast side. They may not necessarily see this. Only 1/10 of an inch of rain was reported at the Tucson airport in October, and about 0.67 is normal. So I guess what this is saying is that the great water pattern that we had in the summertime isn't necessarily going to continue. Is that right?
That's correct. Even though we had a really nice monsoon season this summer with close to 13 inches of rain from June 15th through September 30th. That was great. However, things are now drying up. And as it states there, a very small amount of rain in October. And in November, there's been no rain to date. The other thing is the temperature in November is already averaging about 4 degrees above normal. So things are drying out again. I'm an avid hiker, and if you go up into the Tortolita mountains, some of the trails that go up there, right after the monsoon rains, a lot of grasses that we haven't seen in a long time were growing wildly. And in many places, you couldn't even see the trail. They were growing so good. This grass is about waist high deep in some areas.
Wow.
And back in, July, August, it was green. And if you look up into the mountains right now, you'll see these patches of dry brown grass. So all that grass now is dried out.
Oh.
And they're also predicting, the National Weather Service is also predicting La Nina conditions, which means higher temperatures and lower precipitation for this coming winter. So the monsoonal rains were great, but we're still in a serious drought.
One thing I had mentioned to Mark before the show started is that during the CAP presentation given to the Oro Valley Town Council, one thing I learned was that, and I don't think because we had almost 14 inches of rain over the monsoon season, really the snow melt or the snowpack is really the critical factor. You see it the same way? I'm sure you do, right? I mean, we really need some snow melt up in the mountains to get that Colorado River regenerated, and obviously Lake Powell and Lake Mead.
Yeah, correct. So the Colorado River Basin, which goes all the way up into Colorado and Montana, Wyoming. It's critical that the western slope of the Sierras, of the Rockies, gets significant snowfall. So in the springtime, it melts and supplies water to the Colorado River system. And that has not been happening. So the Colorado River forecasters are watching that closely. They keep a close eye on it, and they make predictions too about what runoff might occur. And again, with the La Nina conditions, it doesn't look good.
The other thing that came out of the LDIG meeting is that the Colorado system is at about 38% capacity.
Yeah, that's correct. I just looked a little while ago at the United States Bureau of Reclamation website for the Lower Colorado Water Supply Report, and as of today, the system is still at 38%. So that means that if you take all the reservoirs in the Colorado River system, they average about 38%. But in particular, Lake Powell, which is the reservoir up above the Lake Mead Reservoir, Lake Powell's at 29% right now,
wow,
which is really low. And Lake Mead, near Las Vegas, the Hoover Dam is the impoundment for Lake Mead, is at 34%. So, and there's a few other reservoirs that they factor in, but those are the two key reservoirs that hold most of the water, and they're very, very low, and that's the big concern. And as you're aware, the Bureau of Reclamation has issued a Tier 1 drought shortage. So beginning in January of 2022, there'll be cutbacks throughout the region. In Arizona, that will only impact agricultural operations. But some of the forecasts are looking at, pretty good probability that there will be a Tier 2 cutback maybe the following year, or following years, I should say. And the further you go down in the tiers, the more impact there will be to the municipal operations. In fact, right now, all the lower Colorado River basin water users are meeting and negotiating some ways to put more water back into Lake Mead over the next year or two. So as you may recall, in 2019, they negotiated a drought contingency plan where some additional cutbacks were put in place from the ones that were originally set in 2007. And now they're having to go beyond that to find some water to make sure that there doesn't have to be, more cutbacks. So that's currently underway.
Yeah, and, it's interesting on the cutbacks, and I think if I remember prior conversations with you, Marana is sort of, I think when you look at Marana with your housing development, and I think you've got a lot of potential houses to be built in Marana. At least they've got the sites and so forth, but you don't have enough water to handle. So I guess what I'm saying is what happens what could be possibly happening in Marana, where you don't have enough water allocation for the potential number of sites. This could happen in other areas in Arizona too. Wouldn't that be possible?
Yeah, it could happen in other areas of Arizona, especially those that don't have a CAP supply. Marana water does. But Marana only has about 2,804 acre-feet of water remaining in its designated assured water supply account, which is the official approved water supply for Marana that comes from the Arizona Department of Water Resources. And that's equivalent to about 9,350 lots. Yet Marana has approved, and this is as of June, almost 25,800 lots through their planning process. Yeah. So that means there's 16,400 lots that have been approved, but they don't have an official designated assured water supply available for those. Now, the fact that they're approved by the Planning Commission is step one. In order for them to go to step two, which is to actually plat those lots and get building permits for those, the designated assured water supply has to be available. So these 25,800 lots have only been approved through the planning process, but to go further, to get platted, there needs to be some water found. And Marana Water is working on a long-term water supply plan to hopefully locate some more water. So we're going to, keep an eye on that and see what happens. But
well, Mark, where do you in the desert? Where do you locate more water at, other than you go to wells or something? I guess what's their thought about? I mean, and Marana is just an example of other developments, whether it's down in Sierra Vista, or Suarjita, or Oro Valley. It's all the same kind. It's where do you go to get the other water at?
Well, in fact, any new water has to be renewable. In other words, you just can't pump groundwater out of the ground. It has to have a replacement, a renewable source. So that's either more Colorado River water, and that's becoming scarce because everybody wants it.
Yeah.
Or it could be recycled wastewater. But in order to get more recycled wastewater, you need more people, or some, other agreements with other water agencies to share water. So it's not easy to find additional renewable water sources.
Okay. Wow. Okay. A little bit of a map here that that the LDIG had. Hang in there. So this shows what's going on and only confirms, what you guys have been saying from October to July and September. I mean.
Yeah, these are long-term drought status maps prepared by the Department of Water Resources. And you can see, for example, April through June 2021, this is before the monsoons, the entire state was virtually, dark red, which is, extreme drought. And then we had the monsoons, July through September. You can see it lightens up a little bit, moderate drought. But there's still areas of the state that are extreme drought. Now, I haven't seen we probably won't get the next long-term drought status maps until after the first of the year, but it's probably going to go back to more red because things are dry now. So even though we had all that rain this summer, we're still not out of the woods yet. In fact, if you look at the 2 years, 2020 and 2021, it was actually we got no monsoonal rain in 2020, and we got some good rain in 2021. So over the 2 years, it was probably below average if you had to, if you look at it on a long-term basis. So that's what this does here. It's again not looking very good.
And from the CAP presentation that I listened to on Wednesday, I didn't realize that 2026 is going to be a very pivotal year, as I understood it from the Pima County project manager for CAP. The states are going to once again get together and begin to talk about water allocation, apparently, or what's going to happen. I guess Nevada now is, when they first allocated the water, was hardly taking any, and now you've got big metro areas in Las Vegas that are going to say, hey, we want a larger share of the pie.
Yeah, as I think I talked about in one of the podcasts, there's a set of agreements and minutes and contracts over the length of the Colorado River that started in 1922, and all of it summed together is called the Law of the River, and it's specific to the Colorado River. There's a lot of long-term negotiations that have occurred, and they divvied up all the water, back starting in 1922, and things have changed a lot. And now some of these areas want more water. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. But dealing with all the basin states and all the different utilities that use water and the irrigation districts, it's like herding cats to get them to come to agreement on anything.
Yeah, somebody once reminded me just the other day, everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. That's that's exactly what's going to happen. So, okay. Well, Mark, when we get to the next LDIG meeting, certainly I hope to have you back on again. I want to keep water at the forefront of our podcast, talking about, letting people know, keeping them not involved, but keeping them well informed through podcasts like this, because we don't want surprises, and I'm afraid that's what happens a lot of times. You get these sort of natural disasters, and somebody says, well, I didn't know it was coming. Well, we know it's coming.
And that's what I've been trying to do through the Tortolita Alliance on our website. We have a separate page on our website on water, and we're trying to keep the community in the entire region in Tucson aware of what's going on.
And we need to just keep pushing, because the more we talk about it, the more people will begin to listen, and I think that's extremely good. Well, Mark, I thank you very, very much. I expect to see you on the show in a couple more months, and we'll be talking about more water. I thank you very much.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Jim.
Okay, hang in there, Mark. There.